The question has now gone from how to start making money in music to how to start making money from media. So let's make money. And let's make this make sense in a framework that actually works. I promise you've been thinking about this all wrong. And my goal as being a real entertainment attorney, I've been doing music since I was 4, is to give you a framework that changed everything for me. And I know it's going to change everything for you. So if you're getting excited, let's have our gavel moment and hit that like. What kind of inspired this for me? It's always just I'm having real consultations with you guys. And, especially for someone who has been in the business for a long time, when I talk to someone else who's been in the business for a long time and they're talking about their upcoming release and what they're trying to build and all this stuff and understanding what's working right now for people who are trying to specifically think and operate like record labels. And I'm in the weeds. And so I see that there's this new media label framework that's happening. And I want to share it with you guys. So there's the majors, right? We have Universal, Sony, Warner, and all the subsidiaries and imprints and all the good stuff. And then there's independents. And all the independent labels, do what they want, right? They have a little bit of a different structure. They tend to be a little more artist-centric. And the big question is just always, well, how does the label make money? Because as artists and music producers, we want to get signed to labels. And so my big mission has always been, well, why don't you just become your own label, right? So if this is, what's the label going to do for you that you can't do for yourself? So the framework here is, well, if labels are basically making money with a list of streaming, right? So music, streaming, downloads, so ownership of the masters, they do brand sponsorships. And then there's this ancillary income stuff, right? So just meaning, what's the additional ways that they're making money? There are tours, there's merchandising, there's licensing. So this traditionally was called a 360 deal. They don't call it that anymore because let's not say they're trying to hide it, but they just don't call it that anymore. But record label deals have the same language in it, which is, hey, for the other stuff that you do in your music career or your entertainment career, we get a little piece, which is what 360 was all about. It just goes, we are getting a little piece of the pie, regardless of whether it comes from music, your acting, your sponsorships, whatever. Anyway, that's still what it is. They just don't call it 360 deals anymore. The question has now gone from how to start making money in music to how to start making money from media. Some of you are calling it what it is, and you go, I want to be one of these new media labels. I want to become this, even just for myself. I'm not even trying to do this and sign other artists. And if you are, great, this works for you as well. Now, music is always going to be the key ingredient of what this is. All right, so now we're going to start going through the framework. Music is always going to be the key ingredient. You can argue all day long about music is becoming less and less valuable, and anyone can make it, and anyone could be an artist and this and that. Music is the thing. And then around that, the vessel, as we'll call it, is brand. Who is singing the song? Why do we care? And there's just, more of that human emotional thing that comes with just a brand that you dig and you want to support. Now, what we really talk about, though, is becoming like a content creator, because music is a piece of it, but we have songs and videos and pictures and digital assets. So where I want to start planting the seed is to go, you're thinking about this all wrong in your social media, because I'll sit there and I'll be like, hey, tell me all about your music. And you'll tell me how much you love your music and what you do and all this stuff. And then I go, okay, tell me about your social media. How much do you post? How much you take it seriously? And I think that thinking of social media pages as digital assets, that might be new for you. So people, when they build up, let's say, an Instagram page, and now you have 200,000 followers, 300,000 followers, you then can use that to get a brand deal because you have audience, because you have attention. And so looking at social media for the fact that they are in fact digital assets and not only you can use, but you can then sell. I have clients all the time that will build up social media pages and then sell them because you can rebrand them. And it's like, hey, you want a quick 1 million followers? I'm going to give you this page. You have to buy it. So they're digital assets. We look at ad revenue for your YouTube channel. It's not about vanity metrics. It's about real hard numbers of if we can get a deal for you because someone wants to sponsor you and maybe they get a percentage of what you make on a video, or maybe they get a percentage of what you make on your YouTube channel. So going back to this framework of being a media label and understanding that we're not just concerned about the music anymore. You have to understand that to be effective in the music business today, you have to understand media collectively around music and how they both absolutely have to work together. And then here's the thing. Right now, regardless of where your social media channels are at, or if you're a manager, right, or if you're working on behalf of artists, whoever you're working with, regardless of how many followers you have, right? These are sales channels for customers. To give you an example, if you have a smaller following, 1,000 people, and we'll kind of kick ourselves and be like, oh, I'm not going to post because like no one cares and I get 10 likes on something. And you forget that there's actually a value to every single person who follows you because they can be a sale. Case in point, talked about the different music businesses that I've developed, my law firm. I've brought in a lot of money from my various businesses and done that without doing any kind of advertising. Everything I'm talking to you about, everything that I am planting a seed in your brain to help you make money is based on organic methods. Okay, so if you don't have money to start, that's okay. So basically, two frameworks. When I sit down with you guys, usually it's where you at right now, and it might be that you have a full-time job and you have another job to pay for your job of being a musician or a producer or a manager, or you are stuck. So maybe you are in the music business and so you are a full-time music producer, but you just aren't able to kind of figure out how to better monetize. So this content is for both groups because I'm still speaking to entrepreneurs, right? You're trying to figure out something for yourself on your own terms, your own business, okay? And that's what I do. And for anyone who's like me, I want to put out stuff that will help you. Basically, I teach you guys how to think like a record label, but really I'm trying to teach you how to think like a media company because that is what is working for myself. That's what's working for my clients. All right. All right. So let's go through and use a couple of different examples because it's like I said, back to the follower thing. If you have a follower, the value of that follower on the low end is like $20 up to $1,000. And so understanding that there's that level of value, all of a sudden now we care about, are you on TikTok? Are you posting at all? What are your hangups? So let's work through it. We're going to figure out how to monetize your audience. We're going to monetize your skills, and we're also going to monetize your media. So here are some examples. So we have, for example, live concerts, right? So, you're a musician or you want to put on events. So you book people. And I was just talking to someone the other day, and the band is a rock band, and so they book the other acts. They bring a lineup to a venue, and they're like, "Hey, here's the whole night scheduled for you." And that's one way to kind of build something up. But live concerts are great because you have the opportunity to upsell, meaning hopefully you make some money. Even if you break even, but you make some money from the actual live performance. But now you have butts and seats. You have people in front of you and you get sales from your merchandise. So we upsell that way. But besides, a live event, you have the virtual events. And that's kind of, for me, that's something I'm really excited about, even with, the music that I'm working on and stuff I'm going to be releasing, because it gives more opportunity to reach more people, to not just being like one state, one venue, but now you're like worldwide. But think about the number. If you have $15 for a ticket and then you have 50 people, right? 50 people is a lot. 25 people, 50 people. And we can, let's say, bring in $750 from one live performance, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and then you push merch before, during, and afterwards. The idea that you would be able to pull in $2,000 from something like this, including if it was a virtual event that you did from your house, some studio that you rented locally. That's what I'm talking about as far as not just being reliant on, hey, streams. I'm waiting for the streams and I'm trying to get more money and all this. No, let's get super practical. And I'm going to give you a few of these things that you can just kind of put in the back of your minds as far as what might work for you. And the live streaming, right? Twitch, we can do social media, that's obviously free, but there's paid platforms, Restream, StreamYard, and you can do digital options like tip jars. Okay. So when we are looking at digital, there's no overhead, or if there is, it's very minimal. But then here are some other ideas as we are thinking about what you have already created, because I think that there's always this like forward movement thing. Krystle, I have a new EP that I made and, I'm thinking about dropping it in a month and like, what should I do? And so we have like a conversation about marketing, which is great. I do videos on the channel about stuff that's worked for me and what works for our clients and whatever. But that is a little bit separate from what I'm talking about on making actual money. You have put in your time and effort and money into your new music, right? Into this digital content, which includes videos. Because then the next thing I'm saying to you is, great. For the next 6 weeks leading up to what should be your first single, don't just drop the whole thing, drop one song. But leading up to that, I need you to post as much as humanly possible, right? You should have no less than like 16 to 20 pieces of different type of content that you are testing to figure out what works, because you put in all this time And the worst thing you could possibly do is be like, I'm going to hold on to it and I'm not going to tease it. I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to do anything. And then I'm just going to tell people in one post on one social media platform when it's come out. I'm like, hey guys, go listen on Spotify. Like, come on. And so I'm just trying to just be super direct because I just need you guys. I don't want to beat around the bush and just to be like, oh, here's some 5 things you should think about. No, I just want to like really get to it because the more that we talk about this and have real practical things that you guys can do, the more you can make money and the faster you're going to succeed. Back to, let's say, merchandising. If you are merchandising in any kind of way, here is some of the best information you should keep in mind. One is do testing first. If you do special runs of t-shirts, you can make some real money. There's been independent artists who a huge portion of their revenue just comes in from the merch runs that they do because it's limited. They have fans who are super dedicated, right? So moving a $25 shirt times 25, you're making some really good money. But that means there's an upfront investment. So test. You can use platforms like Printful and Threadless. Okay, and there's a whole lot of others, but basically where you just set up an online store and they do everything for you. They let you select the products, they let you make the designs, and then they do order fulfillment, right? They handle everything, but they take the majority of the money. So what you can do is kind of figure out what works for your audience. Again, testing the music, testing the merchandise before you actually make these big investments of like, for example, should we do a music video for the song? I don't care if you love it. Of course you love your music. But if you are now like a record label, like a media company, we're figuring out what works first. We're testing a little bit. But then, on the direct to fan, so let's find some stuff that works and then let's get creative for the stuff that Orko and I do. We have like handwritten lyrics. If you have any homemade goodies, right? If you paint, if you do tie-dye shirts, like anything homemade is always going to do really, really well with your fans. Costumes. If you're the kind of person that like really dresses up and gets wild for your shows and stuff like that, sometimes fans will buy stuff from your music videos that you use, props, vinyls, signed, and digital downloads. So I think anything that you can sell that someone might want, like a signed poster, this is where we're talking about the direct to fan kind of market and framing. Okay. So you can make real money and do things that people legitimately want to buy from you. So, as a media company, something else that people don't consider is that they can sell services. So, as a media company, and what record labels do is that they will sign you. And if you're a music producer, they'll say, okay, great. We're giving you this great deal and you're going to produce these albums and this and that. And oh, by the way, we're going to take a little piece of the earnings that you make as a music producer. So, they're already doing it. So we have to do this for ourselves, which is selling services of music production, songwriting. This could be original songs. This could be cover songs. Like when I'm working with these super talented producers, I go, why, when I go to your website, can I not find that you will do this? That you are, what genres of music do you work in? What are examples? What are your rates? Just have it all there. And I go, because equally, if I can hire you and pay you $2,000 to make a song for me, how long does that take you? And most of you are incredibly talented and you can bust these things out really fast and people just don't even know that they can hire you. So make it known. Same with being, a studio musician, a singer, right? There's things that you can do. And so some singers, some studio musicians might be like, oh, I don't really know how to charge. And I'll say, okay, start with a number. Just be like, you want to hire me for 3 hours, $500. And just see what people say. Now, I'm telling you, people will pay those rates and much higher. Singers who will charge $2,000 as their day rate for, up to a certain number of hours and all this stuff. And when I've spoken with singers, I go, just pick a rate, say a number, figure out if it works, because worst case, they come back and they're like, no, that doesn't work for us, but this works for us. And just see if it works for you. But then get yourself set up, right? Always remove the path of resistance to what you want, which a part of this is going to be money. And if you want someone to hire you and you're a singer, you should have some little DIY setup with a microphone so you can record yourself at home. You should learn how to be able to treat your vocals and do a little tuning and whatever, so you can send final polished, vocals if needed. So what about hiring you for events? Can I hire you for my birthday party? Can I hire you for my wedding? So these things, especially like corporate gigs, these are the types of things that you can make larger chunks of money. And then if you still want to do the other stuff, whatever that might be in the creative realm, amazing. But as we are now helping you to think more as this label, but a media label, it's not just now about the music. It's about the creation of the music. It's about what we can provide as value and how we make money in all these ancillary kind of ways. And then look, I'm gonna give you just a couple more, and these are good, right? So if you guys have ever used Cameo, where basically you can hire someone and have them sing you a song or say happy birthday or whatever, do that on your own website. Can I pay you $100 to take 15 seconds to sing someone who, I'm with, who is like a fan of yours, happy birthday? So think through what makes sense for you. Can I hire you to collaborate with me? I want to feature you. And especially back to the whole, if you're building up the social media piece, which is so important for anything you're trying to do, but because you have some brand recognition, so now I want to feature you on my song because it helps me. What about like your website? So we go back to the direct to fan framework. And if you are able to sell your CD or vinyl, your digital downloads directly from your website, amazing. If we can get traffic going to your website, you can sell advertising space. So someone's paying you, or a couple of someone's are paying you $1,000 to have the little local coffee shop advertised on your website. So again, media companies, this is how we are helping to make money, but really everyone watching this should be doing one or all of these things. And of course, and this might even be the most easy thing that you could possibly do, consulting, right? Can I, for all the amazing things that you know how to do as an artist, as a music producer, as a musician, can I pay you 30 minutes of your time for $100, $150, whatever amount makes sense for you? The answer is yes. And then, of course, there's online courses. All right. And so this is one that, just makes a lot of sense because in a lot of instances, it provides a cheaper way to help people who might have time constraints, right? So if you are like a touring musician, if you're actively getting hired as a music producer or whatever, but you want to be able to teach someone that you know, or what you know, I should say, and you want to teach someone what you actually have taken time to learn. You can put together a course and then it's one and done, and you don't have to keep redoing it over and over. And the best example that I can give is just literally myself. As you guys know, I'm a law firm owner. I've been doing this for over 10 years at this point. And for me to do what I do when we build record labels and we build media companies in all the ways that I'm talking about, and we're setting up the entity and we're doing all the contracts and we're building up the team and we're getting the social media plan and the business plan and, all of the agreements into place. I mean, that whole process is like, it can be up to several months. It's usually about $20,000. And for me, that's why eventually I also came up with a course. It's just like, instead of this, you have everything here and it's more efficient. It's your contracts and all that. And it's like $1,300. So for you, it's the same kind of thing. You can take your skill set and figure out a way to make money on it, call it passive income, but it's with, this framework of being a media company. And then here's something else. If you go, well, Krystle, I don't have the traffic, right? I don't have the numbers. I don't have people following me on social media. So, how can I get people to go and buy my stuff? Go to places that do have the traffic. So meaning while you're working on building your social media, you want to go to the Fivers, the Upworks, the Soundbetters, the Air Gigs. There are places where you can go and just sign up to provide services. There's places that you can go to sell your beats. So if that makes more sense for you, great. But obviously what I'm really trying to push here is that you will build this thing for yourself and you will get people going to your own social media, to your own website, because that's where you have the most control and you'll make the most money. Last couple of things. When it comes to brand partnerships and sponsorships, our labels, our media companies are really killing it on this front because, again, as soon as you have an audience that is engaged of any size, make sure that's clear for you, of any size, then someone's like, hey, will you post about my product? And if you're okay doing that and it's compatible with your brand, well, all of a sudden someone just paid you $500 to post about their product, $3,000 to post about their product. And so that's why I go back to understanding that your social media channels, right, and pages are digital assets that can make you a lot of money. It's not even because you're like, oh, I turned on monetization on my TikTok. I'm talking about like brand partnerships and sponsorships. At some point, guess what you get to do with all that great media that you took time to create and monetize? You can sell it. And that's a big part of what I do for these types of clients is that we take the media, the music, the videos, the cover art, the pictures, and we sell it. Because at some point, it does become valuable. And when we sell it, we have to go through that process of getting the contracts into place. Hopefully, you've already been doing this and just making sure that the IP, the intellectual property, which is copyrights and trademarks protecting your content is already there because that is something that's super, super valuable and part of the sale. Okay. So keep that in mind now as you are building, because we go, look, on the short term plan, it's let's make money and let's make this make sense in a framework that actually works and is being used right now, not just by record labels, but by calling ourselves media companies, because a whole lot of you will go the direction of we're signing artists, but we also want to sign athletes. And we also want to sign models. We want to sign different types of talent that aren't necessarily only doing music. And so there's a logical progression from everything that I just said on how we actually can make money as a company and working with these different individuals. So last thing, when it comes to your website, please make sure you try, get one, even if it's simple, but you have to do audience harvesting. I talk about this so much, which is don't just rely on social media platforms. Be there, exploit them, do the thing. But you have to make sure you're getting emails as you go. You have to be in control so that if something happens, you can still reach out to people and let them know about your products and get them to buy something from you. Okay. And last but not least, you should know this at this point because I do so many terms of service reviews. Have terms of service on your website because it's the contract that people have to agree to when they hire you, when they buy your stuff. And so it's the contract that's going to be there to define the relationship, but also protect you. All right. If you guys found this video helpful, give the video a like. Let's have the gavel moment. Let's go. Let's go.